Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the Hebrew Woman Show, and I hope you all are having a wonderful, restful, peaceful Sabbath. If you've been watching, last night I started a mini marathon, and it is really, it was a way for me to learn how to use some new tools here. So the whole purpose of me sharing my journey is so that you can in what I'm doing and work on tailoring your own leadership plan. But here on a Hebrew Woman Show, this is a channel for women so that we can support each other through fellowship. We are here to be a support and counsel to one another. So let me just get right into what we always cover. We are here to explore our biblical principles. That is the purpose of this channel. We're here to train ourselves to think biblically and not emotionally. And when I say biblically and not emotionally, I'm not saying that you don't have emotions, but we are here to do what Proverbs 25 and 28 says, that he that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. So we are here to fortify and strengthen ourselves in the word of the Lord and the law so that we can move forward with purpose and know how to conduct ourselves and comport ourselves in behavior that becometh holiness, as Titus calls for us to do. On this channel, we examine ourselves. 2 Corinthians 13 and 5 says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves, know you not your own selves, how Christ is in you, except ye be reprobate. So one of the tools we use here is journaling and communicating with each other as well and holding each other accountable. But to take the time at the end of the day and at the beginning of your morning to journal and write and examine yourself. Prayer and meditation are in our toolkits, right? So one of the things I'm going to start doing going forward, as I have live sessions where we'll have music playing for meditation or writing, I'm going to have a writing accountability sessions. So if you, like me, like in the morning, I have no problem getting my journaling done, but I really wanted to begin the practice of evening writing, just reflecting on everything that happened in the day, and just doing taking my own personal moral inventory, is I'm going to hold accountability sessions, writing accountability sessions in the evening. Right now, I'm going to commit to 2 days, and it'll be a way for me to hold myself accountable, that if I'm not doing writing every day, at least I know those 2 days of the week, those are 2 evenings I'm going to get the writing in that I want, so that I can, because I'm always, whenever I have situations, I always stop and do an assessment. What went right? What went wrong? What could have been better? And even when if there isn't anything that went wrong or whatever, however the day went, just reflecting on that and taking the time to renew and move with purpose is important to me. Here we strive to be women of Titus 2 and 1 says, but speak thou things which become sound doctrine. And we're going to talk about how I believe today we don't realize it because we think of them as just programs, but all of these things, they are a form of doctrine. And I will say, even in this my organization, we have our own doctrine. Our doctrine is the Torah. But, as far as, so I will not even say our own doctrine, because like the Torah is our founding principles. But do we have rules? Do we have codes and things that we're building for ourselves, our own personal doctrine? Yeah, we do. And I think too, we have to acknowledge and recognize that in every organization. And what we want to do is assess it and make sure that it is in alignment with our beliefs. And I think to pretend that these things aren't there, like each church has their own doctrine. But our founding principles and guidelines should be the Bible. This is our operating system, the owner's manual. So we're here to speak sound doctrine. We need to make sure that first of all, whatever doctrine we're incorporating into our lives, whatever practices that we're taking on and adding to our lives, that they are in alignment with the will and the word of God. So that's why we do that personal inventory in the evening, because the Bible lays out the behavior not just for women, but for men. It says that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and in charity, and patience. And that the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior that becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to too much wine, teachers of good things. We want to be, because the Bible also tells us to be apt to teach. So in order to be able to do those things, we have to make sure that we are displaying all of these attributes that are laid out here in Titus. And one day we just need to take the time to go through these attributes and talk about them. When we talk about those 21 indispensable qualities of a leader, these are qualities that are indispensable to you as a leader and as a follower of the true and living God. So just things to think about. I personally think that when we just like, so one of the books that are part of our classes is meditations. Marcus Aurelius wrote, he journaled daily, right? He never intended for his journals to be published, but the idea, if you see the practice, and so that's one of our pillars, practicing and discipline. And so as we work on building that muscle and building that out, I'm sharing my journey with you, so you get to watch me do it. You get to listen to me stumble and bumble and make my mistakes and learn along the way with me. So just some things to share and think about. These are scriptures we went over last week, but I do think that 2 Timothy chapter 3, and especially particularly for us, like, women talking about being led away captive, being a silly woman led away captive, laden with sins and led away with diverse attributes that a woman, a godly woman, is supposed to display. And how listening to all these doctrines, as I was just discussing, not trying the spirit and making sure that these things are in alignment with the word of God, how you can be led away with all these false doctrines, all these teachings, all these, ladies in luxury, soft life. If you look at a lot of the teachers, the women that are teaching these things, they're not based on anything spiritual. These are things about your own lusts and personal. And there's nothing wrong with having desires, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be beautiful. There's nothing wrong with wanting to experience luxury. However, I do think if we're going to talk about what the Bible calls, and I do think that there is an element of the concept of living a soft life that is deceptive, because when I see some of the women participating in these groups trying to exemplify this, they're not trying to exemplify behavior that becometh holiness. They're exemplifying behavior that is worldly. And so a lot of them are putting themselves in financial dire straits to give the appearance of being wealthy or living a lifestyle that they don't live. And I do think that is a form of evil and vanity. It's all vanity and vexation spirit. We have to be careful that here's what I want to say to you. Soft life is a myth, because what is that? You have to look at what they're displaying and what they're showing, and then think about, does that match in reality? In the world that we live in, with the things that are going on, you would have to basically close your eyes, close your ears, and be oblivious. Because, and even in doing that, life is still going to touch you. Because I believe that the word of God is true, and you were not promised a soft life. You were promised he would be with you until the end, because he knows, and that's why it says, he who endures to the end will be saved. Because when dealing with life, you're going to have to endure. You're going to have to endure the nonsense that goes along with your family, your friends. If you don't work, you still have to endure that. If you work, you're going to have to endure your coworkers. You're going to have to endure the public. Even if you're not working and you're going out into the world, you are still going to endure the politics. You're going to endure people, unless you are going to go isolate yourself, maybe like go do some green acres type of thing and go live out in the country, or in a wood cabin somewhere where it's just you and life only intrudes every blue moon. You're not an island. And so I believe in a stoic sense that we have to fortify ourselves. That's why the premeditations of evil, right? Premeditatio malorum. We have to think about these things and prepare ourselves for them. People are going to die. You're going to lose people. You're going to lose things. You are going to suffer tragedies. and hardships in your life. You are not going to live a soft life. So if this fiction that you have in your mind exists, it exists in a state of non-reality. And I think a lot of times you see other people living certain ways and you believe they have it better than you. Listen, if money were the cure of it all, Robin Williams would not have taken his own life. Kurt Cobain would not have taken him. We can just think of numbers of people who are wealthy and celebrities who killed themselves. So obviously, having money and the ability to live this soft life that they're presenting isn't the solution. Okay? And I will say this: what's hard for some other people may not be hard for you. That doesn't mean that we dismiss other people's experiences or their pain. We don't get to tell other people, oh, well, you ain't went through anything. You haven't suffered like I suffered. This isn't the struggle Olympics, the oppression Olympics, or any of that. This is just an understanding of what the Bible tells us and what we are going to experience in life. As a matter of fact, let me. We'll have to get, but we're going to have the soft life conversation because I do believe that while Christ came so that we can have life and have it more abundantly, He didn't promise us that we would not have to go through some struggles and that things are not always going to be great. Okay, so that's basically where we're going here with this. We're also here to we understand that Proverbs 11:14 says that where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. We're building community here to be a soft place for you to fall, since you guys like things soft. But seriously, we're here to provide counsel for one another, to uplift one another, to hold each other accountable. That's why I built the Facebook group, which right now I'm still working on the process for that, for joining, because I do want it to be a safe space. Everybody loves softness and safe spaces these days. There'll be an application process because I think anonymity is important. And I think that what we share in that group, whether you're starting your own accountability thread, so we'll fix it where everybody, you start your own accountability thread and you will chronicle your process or share with the group what you want to share. That way you don't have to create a post every day. There shouldn't be a new post of you tracking your goals or what you're being accountable for. It'll just be your own daily log, right? And what you see here, what you read here, what you post here, what you see, what you say, all those things should remain confidential. And while I believe forgiveness is divine, anybody that violates that policy will be removed from the group. You'll be banned permanently. And we will forgive you from over there. You will not be allowed to come back because we have to have a standard. And there are just some lines that cannot be crossed. And when we're not talking about children here, I have an expectation for adults to comport themselves in an adult manner. And that means that you learn how to control your spirit and close your mouth and keep things confidential. Proverbs 19:20 says, we are to hear counsel and receive instruction that thou may be wise in thy latter end. We want to be wizened women. We want to be able to be in a season where we are of a benefit, that we are apt to teach that, because not only are we apt to teach, but we are able to teach. And here, this is a training ground where we are going to do this. Proverbs 28:26 says that he that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely shall be delivered. I don't know about you, but I want to be delivered from foolishness every chance I get. So I'm definitely here for it. 1 John 4:1 says, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. We do not believe anything and everything that is said to us. We try the spirit first. What did Maya Angelou say? When people show you who they are, believe them and believe them the first time. More importantly, Christ said you will know them by their fruit. So we let people show us who they are. We don't just give people, you don't just give the keys to your house to some rando. You don't give anybody the keys to your mind or your spirit either. Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friends. We are here, my friends, to sharpen one another, to help each other grow and become strong in the word and become strong in character and integrity. And without further ado, we will just jump out of this and get right to, remove that from the stage. I have to stop sharing the wrong screen. And we're going to get right into the next chapter of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which is chapter 2, the Law of Influence. And speaking of the Law of Influence, ironically enough, my focus class, the group of women, chose to read Influence is Your Superpower for the book of the month. And so I don't believe in coincidences. How fitting for me to have started over when I started over and for us to land right where we are, influence. So if you want to join me in reading Influence is Your Superpower, I will come here as I read and share a chapter as I go through it, so you can listen and read along. And then if you want to participate in the discussion, we can do that. But influence is where we are this week. So I thought that was very fitting, and it was really funny to me. I was like, really? We're going to read a book about influence? And the chapter that we're covering this week is influence, the law of influence. So I don't think it's a coincidence. I think we need to work on influence here, guys. So I know I definitely do, because that is not a strength of mine. I don't think of myself as trying to influence people, and I think that was a mistake. It is a flaw to not want to develop that skill for me, because I just kind of tend to not pay people a lot of attention, and that has been to my own detriment. I think I need to pay more attention, but anyway, let's get started here.
Leadership law number 2, the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. What do leaders look like? Do they always look powerful, impressive, charismatic? And how do you measure the effectiveness of a leader? Can you put two people side by side and instantly tell which is the better leader? These are questions people have asked for hundreds of years. One of the most effective leaders of the late 20th century was anything but impressive upon first appearance. When most people think of Mother Teresa, they envision a frail little woman dedicated to serving the poorest of the poor, and that she was. But she was also a tremendous leader. I say that because she had an amazing amount of influence with others. And if you don't have influence, you will never be able to lead others. Lucinda Varday, who worked with Mother Teresa on the book A Simple Path, described the nun as the quintessential energetic entrepreneur who has perceived a need and done something about it, built an organization against all odds, formulated its constitution, and sent out branches all over the world. The organization Mother Teresa founded and led is called the Missionaries of Charity. While other vocational orders in the Catholic Church were declining, hers grew rapidly, reaching more than 4,000 members during her lifetime, and that doesn't include numerous volunteers. Under her direction, her followers served in 25 countries on 5 continents. In Calcutta alone, she established a children's home, a center for people with leprosy, a home for people who were dying and destitute, and a home for people suffering with tuberculosis and mental disorders. That kind of organizational building can be accomplished only by a true leader. Mother Teresa's impact reached far beyond her immediate environment. People from all walks of life and from nations around the globe respected her. When she spoke, people listened. Author and former presidential speechwriter Peggy Noonan wrote about a speech Mother Teresa gave at the National Prayer Breakfast in 1994. It illustrates her level of influence with others. Noonan observed, all the Washington establishment was there, plus a few thousand born-again Christians, Orthodox Catholics, and Jews. She spoke of God, of love, of families, and she said we must love one another and care for one another. There were great purrs of agreement from the crowd. But as the speech continued, it became more pointed. She asked, do you do enough to make sure your parents in the old people's homes feel loved? Do you bring them each day your joy and your caring? The baby boomers in the audience began to shift in their seats, and then she continued, I feel that the greatest destroyer of peace today is abortion. And then she told them why, in uncompromising terms. For about 1.3 seconds, there was a complete silence. Then applause built and swept across the room. But not everyone, the President and First Lady, Bill and Hillary Clinton, the Vice President and Mrs. Gore, looked like seated statues at Madame Tussauds, moving not a muscle. Mother Teresa didn't stop there either. When she finished, there was almost no one that she hadn't offended. If just about any other person in the world had made those statements, people's reactions would have been openly hostile. They would have booed, jeered, or stormed out. But the speaker was Mother Teresa. She was probably the most respected person on the planet at that time. So everyone listened to what she had to say, even though many of them violently disagreed with what she said.
I think that's what happens when you show up and you do the work, when you're grounded in who you are and you have your own morals and integrity and values and things that you're just not willing to compromise. That, yeah, you'll have people who hate you and who will challenge you, but you also have respect and you can stand up and not be ashamed of what you believe. And I think that is what a lot of this is about to me. And even as I endure and deal with things, I've come to understand that as long as I believe, as long as I'm doing what I believe is right, and I'm standing on faith and I'm rooted in the truth, that's all that matters for me. Win or lose, I'll still win because my integrity is intact. So that's something that I think is more important to me than any paycheck or anything that this world has. Am I making sure that I am staying in alignment with the will of God?
There was no one that she hadn't offended. If just about any other person in the world had made those statements, people's reactions would have been openly hostile. They would have booed, jeered, or stormed out. But the speaker was Mother Teresa. She was probably the most respected person on the planet at that time. So everyone listened to what she had to say, even though many of them violently disagreed with what she said. In fact, every time that Mother Teresa spoke, people listened. Why? She was a real leader. And when real leaders speak, people listen. Leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is often misunderstood. When I began offering leadership conferences back in the 1970s, I had a difficult time getting people to show up. Back then, if people had a title or leadership position, they said, I don't need to come and learn about leadership. I'm already a leader. They thought that they had arrived. At the same time, people who didn't have a position or title would say, well, I'm not a leader, meaning that they didn't have a position, so I don't need to come. They didn't understand that becoming a leader was a process that someone can pursue. I talk more about this in the law of process. To counter this mindset, I began teaching the 5 levels of leadership, though back then I called them the 5 levels of influence to help people understand the position is the lowest level of leadership.
I just want to stop there because I want to say I'm one of those people who, because I didn't, in my mind, hold a leadership position, I didn't think leadership was something that I needed to study and examine. And now, having been promoted to a position where I have a team, I understood that even when I look at my social media, I was looking at that wrong. When I look at your role to your family's people, and when I think in hindsight, when I have friends or people who will call me and say, who are we voting for this time? Or what are we doing about this? I didn't realize that they were looking towards me, and whether it's for influence, leadership, and maybe in our minds we don't think of it that way, but we look towards one another as women of Titus, as we support each other as being people who are leading. And whatever it is your friend is an expert or your comrade is an expert on, you look towards them to guide you. That is leadership. All things do hinge on leadership. If you are a parent, you're a leader. If people call and ask you for advice on things, you are leading. So we all have a responsibility biblically to learn and grow. So when it calls for us to be apt to teach, we're able to step up and do that. It makes sense.
Meaning that they didn't have a position, so I don't need to come. They didn't understand that becoming a leader was a process that someone can pursue. I talk more about this in the law of process. To counter this mindset, I began teaching the 5 levels of leadership, though back then I called them the 5 levels of influence to help people understand the position is the lowest level of leadership, the starting point. True leadership cannot be awarded, appointed, or assigned. It comes only from developing influence, and that cannot be mandated. It must be earned. 5 levels of leadership is a roadmap for that process. The only thing a title can buy is time, either to increase your level of influence with others or to undermine it. When people recognized that, they became open to how leadership actually works. Today, people sometimes have a different misconception about leadership. When they hear me say leadership is influence, they confuse influence with popularity. You can have a high-profile career on TV, music, or movies, or you can have millions of followers on social media and thousands of likes on your post, but that doesn't make you a leader. It makes you popular, and that's not the same thing. People can become highly interested in someone with social influence, but that doesn't become leadership influence until the people follow them to change their behavior and take action as a result of the interaction with the influencer. That's the type of influence I'm describing when I state that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. There are 5 myths about leadership. Through the years, I've encountered many other misconceptions and myths that people embrace about leaders and leadership. And I want to share with you the 5 common ones. 1, the management myth. A widespread misunderstanding is that leading and managing are one and the same. Up until a few decades ago, books that claimed to be on leadership were often really about management. The main difference between the two is that leadership is about influencing people to follow, while management focuses on maintaining systems and processes. As former Chrysler chairman and CEO Lee Iacocca Riley commented, sometimes even the best manager is like a little boy with a big dog waiting to see where the dog wants to go so he can take him there.
I like that part. Like I do think, and Dale and I were talking about this the other day, that part of that when you are in a leadership position at your organization, a lot of times when you talk about being supervisors and leaders, that one of your job, as he just said, is to maintain systems, to maintain standards. And a lot of times the people that you're leading, they don't understand that. And that's where your leadership development comes in. I think people just think in terms of, I have to do this job and a supervisor is messing with me, but they forget that supervisors have SOPs. They have jobs to do, and part of their job is to make sure that the standards are in place. So I would say we want to be both. We want to be the manager, the supervisor that makes sure our standards are in place. And then we want to be able to carry forward the mission, and leadership will help us do that. We want to be able to use our influence, and we want to be able to raise our lids. So it all makes sense for me, just come together. And that's why I like that we're going back and starting over, because I'm really just taking the time to break these laws down. And that's why I added the 21 most powerful minutes in a leader's day to what we're doing right now.
Books that claim to be on leadership there are 5 myths about leadership. Through the years, I've encountered many other misconceptions and myths that people embrace about leaders and leadership. And I want to share with you the 5 common ones. 1, the management myth. A widespread misunderstanding is that leading and managing are one and the same. Up until a few decades ago, books that claimed to be on leadership were often really about management. The main difference between the two is that leadership is about influencing people to follow, while management focuses on maintaining systems and processes. As former Chrysler chairman and CEO Lee Iacocca Riley commented, sometimes even the best manager is like a little boy with a big dog waiting to see where the dog wants to go so he can take him there. The best way to test whether a person can lead rather than just manage is to ask him to create positive change. Managers can maintain direction, but often they can't change it. Systems and processes can only do so much. To move people in a new direction, you need influence. Number 2 is the entrepreneur myth. Frequently, people assume that all entrepreneurs are leaders. But that's not always the case. Entrepreneurs are skilled at seeing opportunities and going after them. They see needs and understand how to meet them in a way that produces a profit. But not all entrepreneurs are good with people. Many find it necessary to partner with someone skilled at the people part of the equation. If they can't influence people, they can't lead. Number 3 is the knowledge myth. Sir Francis Bacon said knowledge is power. If you believe power to be the essence of leadership, then you might naturally assume that those who possess knowledge and intelligence are therefore leaders. That isn't necessarily true. You can visit any major university and meet brilliant research scientists and philosophers whose ability to think is so high that it's off the charts, but whose ability to lead is so low that it doesn't even register on the charts. Neither IQ nor education necessarily equates to leadership. Number 4 is the pioneer myth. Another misconception is that anyone who is out in front of the crowd is a leader. But being first isn't always the same as leading. For example, Sir Edmund Hillary was the first man to reach the summit of Mount Everest. Since his historic ascent in 1953, hundreds of people have followed him in achieving that feat. But that doesn't make Hillary a leader. He wasn't even the official leader on the expedition when he reached the summit. John Hunt was. And when Hillary traveled to the South Pole in 1958 as part of the Commonwealth Trans-Antarctic Expedition, he was accompanying another leader, Sir Vivian Fuchs. To be a leader, a person has to not only be out in front, but also have people intentionally coming behind him, following his lead, acting on his vision. Being a trendsetter is not the same as being a leader. Number 5, the position myth. As mentioned earlier, the greatest misunderstanding about leadership is thinking that it is based primarily on position. It's not. If you've ever declined to follow a bad boss, or if you've ever been appointed to a position on a team or a committee, and people didn't listen to your advice or take your direction, you know that a title doesn't make you a leader. The position only gives you a chance. Stanley Hafty affirmed, "It's not the position that makes the leader, it's the leader that makes the position." There's a game show on television that began when I was a kid, and it is currently in its 6th iteration, called To Tell the Truth. Here's how it works. At the opening of the show, 3 contestants claim to be the same person. One of them is telling the truth, the other 2 are actors. A panel of celebrity judges takes turns asking the 3 people questions, and when time is up, each panelist guesses which person is the real truth teller. Many times, the actors bluff well enough to fool the panelists and members of the audience. When it comes to identifying a real leader, that task can be much easier. Don't listen to the claims of the person professing to be the leader. Don't examine credentials. Don't check titles. Check for influence. The proof of leadership is found in the followers. I personally learned the law of influence when I accepted my first job out of college. I went in with all the right credentials. I had the proper college degree.
I wanted to pause right there because that has me thinking, and I just wondered, are you, if post in the chat when you watch this video, what questions or things came up for you listening to this segment, but just thinking about where I am in leadership in my organization or in my personal life, and even with my channels, am I inspiring or presenting behavior or a model that people are interested in following? Do I have influence? And if I don't, what can I do to change that? What can I do to change my level of influence? Now, I do think it does matter what type of work environment you're in. I think if you're in a healthy organization, this is a great question or thing to meditate on. And well, I would say even if you are in a toxic work environment, while you may not be able to influence that environment, because I do think there are levels to toxic work environment. There are certain things that are baked in, especially if the toxicity involves leadership. There are certain things that are baked in that you can't solve. However, you can make it better for your team and the people who you supervise. And if you're a member, if you're not a supervisor and you're just a member of staff, how can you influence in your organization? You can look at your personal behavior. How do you model what you do, the work that you do, the care and diligence with which you do it? I think those are ways in a toxic work environment that your influence can show up. So, as a matter of fact, I think that maybe if you are in a toxic work environment, this is the training ground for cultivating these principles, these laws and care and qualities. So that's something I just talking to you guys and listening to these books. Like, this is not meant to be something like overly official or heavy. This is literally me studying and just sharing with you all what I'm trying to learn, grow, and develop. And so ask yourself these questions. This is about me examining myself. That's the whole purpose. And I'm just sharing that with you. I am a fellow traveler here. I'm not here to rule over you. I don't need to be your sensei or your master teacher or any of that other weird stuff that goes on a lot of these channels. I am a fellow traveler, and I'm just trying to navigate this space, this world, and figure it out. And I hope you will come along and join me and share your experiences or ideas, or if you see something that I don't see, that you are willing to share it.
I had a great deal of insight into the work because of the training given to me by my father. I possessed the position and title of leader in the organization. It made for a good-looking resume, but it didn't make me the real leader. At my first board meeting, I quickly found out who the real leader was, a farmer named Claude. When he spoke, people listened.
I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to go right back just a little bit, because what he's talking about right here is something that, especially if you are in a toxic work environment, you don't know. First of all, when you're in a toxic work environment, you don't know that you're in one immediately. But ultimately, over time, you do find out. And it is if you pay attention, and I'm just giving you this because this is something I had to learn the hard way. Pay attention. Don't join any cliques. Don't side with anybody, especially if you're new to the organization. You need to get the lay of the land. And this is why we cover this on the Working Class Chronicles too, because these are mistakes, not deadly, but maybe defeating, morally defeating things that I fell victim to because I was not aware. There is almost always a de facto leader in the organization. And even in positive work communities, you can even have a healthy workspace and there still be a de facto leader, meaning there's that person who he's describing right here, Clyde, who had influence over the group that he didn't have. And even though he was calling the shots, everybody looked to see what Clyde's reaction was going to be. Pay attention. The next time you're in a team meeting, pay attention to when the leader says that this is going to be the way something is going to go. Pay attention to who the senior staff looks to. Do they stay with leadership, or do they look to see what such and such's reaction is going to be? That you need to study the terrain before you make any decisions about where you're going to align yourself when you're in a toxic work environment. You need to get the lay of the land. That is something I did not know.
Professing to be the leader, don't examine credentials, don't check titles, check for influence. The proof of leadership is found in the followers. I personally learned the law of influence when I accepted my first job out of college. I went in with all the right credentials. I had the proper college degree. I had a great deal of insight into the work because of the training given to me by my father. I possessed the position and title of leader in the organization. It made for a good-looking resume, but it didn't make me the real leader. At my first board meeting, I quickly found out who the real leader was, a farmer named Claude. When he spoke, people listened. When he made a suggestion, people respected it. When he led, others followed. If I wanted to make an impact, I would have to influence Claude. He, in turn, would influence everybody else. It was the law of influence at work. The true measurement of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. If you watch the dynamics that occur between people in just about every aspect of life, you will see some people leading and others following. If you're a student of leadership, you begin to notice the leaders. They stand out, and the position or the title often had little to do with who was really in charge. That being the case, why do some people emerge as leaders while others can't influence people no matter how hard they try? I believe that several factors will determine your level of influence, such as character, who you are. True leadership always begins with the inner person. That's why someone like Billy Graham was able to draw more and more followers to him as time went by. People could sense the depth of his character. Influence begins with who you are. Relationships, who you know. You're a leader only if you have followers, and that always requires the development of relationships. The stronger the relationships, the greater the potential for leadership. In my career, each time I entered a new leadership position, I immediately worked to start building relationships. Build enough of the right kind of relationships with the right people, and you can become the real leader of an organization. Knowledge, what you know. Information is vital to a leader. You need a grasp of the facts, an understanding of dynamic factors and timing, and a vision for the future. Knowledge alone won't make someone a leader, but without knowledge, no one can become one. Whenever I was new in an organization, I always spent a lot of time doing homework before I tried to take the lead. Intuition, what you feel. Leadership requires more than just a command of data. It demands an ability to deal with numerous intangibles. In fact, that is often one of the main differences between managers and leaders. Leaders seek to recognize and influence intangibles such as energy, morale, timing, and momentum. Experience, where you've been. The greater the challenges you faced as a leader in the past, the more likely followers are to give you a chance to lead in the present. Experience doesn't guarantee credibility, but it encourages people to give you a chance to prove that you're capable. Past success, what you've done. Nothing speaks to followers like a good track record. When I accepted my first leadership position, I had no track record. I couldn't point to past successes to help people believe in me. But by the time I went to my second position, I possessed a positive track record. Every time I extended myself, took a risk, and succeeded, followers had another reason to trust my leadership ability and to listen to what I had to say. Ability, what you can do. The bottom line for followers is what a leader is capable of accomplishing. They want to know whether the person can lead their team to victory. Ultimately, that's the reason people will listen to you and acknowledge you as their leader. As soon as they no longer believe you can deliver, they will stop listening and following. If you want to test your ability to lead through influence alone, try leading in an organization of volunteers. Now, why do I say that? Because in volunteer organizations, there is no leverage. There's no rank or title to fall back on. There's no pay to withhold and no benefits or perks. Employees are pretty cooperative when their livelihood is at stake, but in voluntary organizations, the thing that works is leadership in its purest form, which is influence. Psychologist Harry A. Overstreet observed, the very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. Followers in voluntary organizations cannot be forced to get on board. If the leader has no influence with them, they won't follow. Recently at a meeting where I was speaking to a group of company presidents and CEOs, one participant asked for advice on finding the best leaders in his organization. My advice was to ask candidates to lead in a volunteer organization for 6 months. If those leaders can get people to follow them when they have no leverage, then you know that they can influence others. That is the mark of true leadership ability. One of my favorite stories that illustrates the law of influence concerns Abraham Lincoln. In 1832, decades before he became president, young Lincoln gathered a group of men to fight in the Black Hawk War. In those days, the person who put together a volunteer company for the militia often became its leader and assumed a commanding rank. In this instance, Lincoln was given the rank of captain. But Lincoln had a problem. He knew nothing about soldiering. He had no prior military experience, and he knew nothing about tactics. He had trouble remembering the simplest military procedures. For example, one day Lincoln was marching a couple dozen men across a field, and he needed to guide them through a gate into another field, but he couldn't figure out how to do it. Recounting the incident later, Lincoln said, "I could not for the life of me remember the proper word of command for getting my company endwise. Finally, as we came near the gate, I shouted, 'This company is dismissed for 2 minutes, and then it will fall in again on the—'"
Have I been live this whole time with no sound? I don't know if you got. Let me go back and see if the stream is recording. Oh wow! So I've been up here the whole time just talking, playing the video, and it's been silent. Well, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to. First of all, I apologize. I don't know what happened, but wait a minute. Let me see. Oh, I think my volume was just shut off. Okay, I thought it was okay. We're good. I thought it was not playing because it's just my phone volume was down too low. Before we go on, I wanted to say that that question that he asked Earl a minute ago, can you deliver? When we're talking about influence, I didn't really think about it in that terms, and that's why I like that I started this over and we're slow walking this because when I think about influence, what is it that you're trying to achieve? And when it comes to your organization, if people aren't following you, if they're not listening to you, what is it that they want? I think that's part of and not just at work, but even with your kids. If you find that your children aren't listening to you and you don't have the ability to influence your own children, I think this is the place. I think these teachings, these learnings, all these things matter for you because it'll make you, 2 Corinthians 13:5, examine yourself and see what is going wrong here. At a certain point in every organization, I think the leaders, and that goes in every family or whatever entity, you'll have to take personal inventory and assess what is going right here, what is going wrong here. Because if you see things are on the wrong track, if your family, if your relationship, if those things are not going the way you want them to go, just sitting there in it is not the solution. You need to stop and go back and assess and like, okay, let's sit down here and write down what do we have, what are the deliverables, what do they want, and can I deliver that? What do I want, and am I able to deliver that for myself? And so that's why, and I would say so for this group. Let me show you. And if you email me, I will send you the worksheet. I want to share my screen. But I developed a worksheet that we can use every time we finish a class. And this is it here. I was like, it would be great if there were prompts. So during the week, we have other prompts, but for you, or as we listen to the chapters, for you to just go through. And what I did here was I kept some of the lines. I left this open, so if you want lines, you can add lines. You would literally just copy and paste this. If you're a line person and you prefer to type on lines, just copy, go to the space. And I think you should do the digital version, but if you want to print it out, you can. But I would, if you like lines, you can add lines and you can remove the little bullet point there. But for me, I just like to type into space. So I would just type out my answer to these reflections and prompts. This is my personal sheet, and I have a sheet that instructors will use. But this is my own personal sheet. So when I'm done, I will go through and look at these questions. And so for me, things that are sticking out, I like the Lee Iacocca quote There are times when the best manager is like a little boy with a dog, waiting to see where the dog wants him to go so he can take him there. I think sometimes it feels like that when you're in certain organizations, especially getting started. And so when he was talking about how he studies before he takes over in an organization, he takes the time to study the organization. And in some environments, you don't really think that way. I think I can say initially when I started my position, I didn't think about studying the organization as it is, and it just kind of got thrust into it. I think there's not a lot of preparation that goes into leadership development in a lot of organizations, and you really learn as you go, kind of a fly by the seat of your pants thing, and that's kind of what I've been doing. But I realized that a lot of it is it was just a lack of leadership development. And so now I know in hindsight, as you watch me go through my steps here, and as I work on worksheets for myself, like I said, I'm just sharing with you all tools that I'm using for myself. You're welcome to them. I will send you the links or the copy of it. But for me, I've learned that I needed to take my time and do some self-assessment, that I need to study. So for me, this is going to be a year of deep, intense studying, research, and reading, because there's a lot to learn. And there's always going to be more things to learn no matter what you're doing. But I'm just really into developing myself as a leader. And it's important to me because the direction that I want to go in, I know that that's what I love about doing the Clifton Strengths Report and that EQI leadership test that I took. It really laid out for me what my strengths and weaknesses were in a way that I could not only build my own personal leadership and development, plan around my strengths and weaknesses, but I'm also able to see, looking back, why these things went this way and what it cost me. And it's like, oh, I see now. It's because I'm weak here. And it's not bad, because you're not gonna be perfect. You're not gonna be able to, I like how he says you're not gonna master all 21 laws, but can you get better at them? Absolutely. And there are some flaws that you may have that are an absolute must for you to shore up, because they are career killing. So there's that. Let me go back, because I definitely felt like I was gonna have to start all over. But I don't think I shifted the. I just didn't hear any sound. I was like, did I really do that? Let me see how far back I need to go. I think okay. So let me go back to sharing my screen with you all, and we'll pick back up on listening to the book. But yeah, I have worksheets. I have things already laid out. So when you listen to these chapters with me, you can go, and if you're behind and you catch up later and you watch the show later on and you comment, just shoot me an email at sister7@gmail.com, and I'll send you the document, any of the documents.
True leadership ability. One of my favorite stories that illustrates the law of influence concerns Abraham Lincoln. In 1832, decades before he became president, young Lincoln gathered a group of men to fight in the Black Hawk War. In those days, the person who put together a volunteer company for the militia often became its leader and assumed a commanding rank. In this instance, Lincoln was given the rank of captain. But Lincoln had a problem. He knew nothing about soldiering. He had no prior military experience, and he knew nothing about tactics. He had trouble remembering the simplest military procedures. For example, one day Lincoln was marching a couple dozen men across a field, and he needed to guide them through a gate into another field, but he couldn't figure out how to do it. Recounting the incident later, Lincoln said, "I could not for the life of me remember the proper word of command for getting my company endwise. Finally, as we came near the gate, I shouted, 'This company is dismissed for 2 minutes, and then it will fall in again on the other side of the gate.'" As time went by, Lincoln's level of influence with others in the militia actually decreased. While other officers proved themselves and gained rank, Lincoln found himself going in the other direction. He began as a captain, but title and position did him little good. He couldn't overcome the law of influence. By the end of his military service, Abraham Lincoln had found his rightful place, having achieved the rank of a private. Fortunately for Lincoln and for the fate of the United States, he overcame his inability to influence others. Lincoln followed his time in the military with undistinguished stints in the Illinois state legislature and the U.S. House of Representatives, but over time, and with much effort and personal experience, he became a person of remarkable influence and impact, and later one of the nation's finest presidents. I love the leadership proverb that says, "He who thinks he leads but has no followers."
I'll go back a little bit. I want to say that's where I am right now. I am Lincoln with those troops trying to lead them through the gate, and eventually they just, like no, no, they have to. But so, like him, I am willing to do what is necessary to grow so that we get beyond the gate. So tell me answer me in the chat or in the email, where are you in your leadership journey? Are you like Lincoln and you can't lead your troops through the gate because you don't know the orders? Or are you far progressed? Are you at the president level now? But yeah, that's me right now. I can't get the troops through the gate.
To influence others. Lincoln followed his time in the military with undistinguished stints in the Illinois state legislature and the U.S. House of Representatives, but over time, and with much effort and personal experience, he became a person of remarkable influence and impact, and later one of the nation's finest presidents. I love the leadership proverb that says, "He who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk." If you can't influence people, then they will not follow you. And if people won't follow you, you are not a leader. That's the law of influence. No matter what anybody else may tell you, remember that leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less.
So I'm taking a walk right now. So I'm hoping that you all will walk with me so that we can learn how to use influence. And like I said, it's no coincidence that, and just even listening to this chapter is a revelation to me that I really needed to work on influence. When they decided that the book of the month was going to be leadership, influence is your superpower, I was like, oh, we covered that. That's one of the 21 irrefutable laws. And so for that to be the book is really awesome because influence is where I'm struggling right now.
When I read you the chapter on the law of influence, it reminded me of my earlier days in trying to break through this leadership market with people. You see, if you go back to the 1970s, even to the mid-1980s, if you went into a bookstore, you wouldn't find any leadership books at all. You would find management books. Now, the reason that management books were so popular is because during the 1950s, 60s, 70s, things moved at a fairly regulated pace. But then
And I just want to say this too, because I don't know if you guys think about this, but I was just thinking about why I am where I am right now in terms of influence. And it is because I have never intentionally set out to influence people. Even with my content, I just get up here and talk about what I want to talk about. I never thought about, I want you guys to do it too. I always had the idea, I'm sure if you want to do it too, go ahead, or, this is just what I have to say. I never really cared if you did it too. I just wanted to get my shit off, right? Excuse me. I'm working on the cursing too, y'all. I just really wanted to, say what I wanted to say, and that be that. It was really a selfish perspective, not thinking about it from a community perspective, not thinking about it from the Titus perspective, or the being apt to teach. I never thought about it that way, and so in this season of understanding, in this season of understanding, that I need to be apt to teach. I need to have the ability to do so, and the patience. I'm very impatient, and that's one of the things I like too. That when he was talking about his flaws, he was talking about how impatient he was, and was like, why don't they just? I wish they would just get on with it. And that is always me somewhere. Like, why are they taking so long? Why don't they just come on? Why don't they just shut up? Like, I just don't have the patience, and it's something that I'm slowly learning that I have to develop. And luckily, I have people around me when I'm getting testy and not being patient and apt to teach. My husband is one who will definitely call me on my impatience. I thank God for him every day because you want to talk about somebody who does not have a problem with checking a sister and showing that mirror, and he does it in such a way that is so it makes you humble yourself because you feel like, oh, I'm being you know what right now, and I appreciate him, and I appreciate that the Most High has given me a spirit of willingness right now to receive that because I do know that the Bible says that the Lord corrects those that He loves, and I don't want to be a fool. I want to receive instruction, and in an age in a season where we can't nobody tell us anything, and if and any woman who is even talking about obedience and submission to a man, let alone the Bible, you are a mammy. That nobody wants to be a mammy. I'm good with that. My mammy and me. If that's what that means, I'm gonna be the head mammy. I'm gonna be the biggest mammy that I could possibly be. If it means that if being in order in the order that the Bible says is order. If that means being a mammy, I want to be the biggest, baddest mammy in town, okay? And that's just real talk for me. Let's continue.
Market with people. You see, if you go back to the 1970s, even to the mid 1980s, if you went into a bookstore, you wouldn't find any leadership books at all. You would find management books. Now, the reason that management books were so popular is because during the 1950s, 60s, 70s, things moved at a fairly regulated pace. But then as time began to just speed things up and life began to have to go a little bit more fast forward, people began to understand that management is all about control and leadership is all about vision and foresight. And pretty soon people said, if we're going to lead well, we can't just manage what we know today, but we have to get out in front and think about tomorrow and cast vision for tomorrow and began to anticipate tomorrow. When I teach about leadership, I say that really leaders have only one thing in common. They see more than other people and they see before other people. It's the seeing before other people that basically turned bookstores all around America from management books to leadership books. The ability to see a little quicker, a little sooner, allowed people to have this, what I call the leadership edge. So when I began teaching leadership, they thought that leadership was title and position. They thought, honestly, that leadership was a noun. And I said, no, really, it's a verb. It demands action. This was a large barrier that took me literally maybe 12, 15 years to overcome. But slowly, people began to understand that leadership's not title, it's not position, it's influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Today, the challenge, I think, is with the social culture. With social media being as it is, a lot of people think, well, look at all the followers I have, I must be a leader. But that's not true. There's a difference between people reading or following you and giving you thumbs up or thumbs down on social media where they'll never meet you and you'll never have to lead them through any area. There's a big difference between that and being able to influence people voluntarily to follow you. But the moment that you understand that leadership is influence, and the moment that you and I understand to gain influence is to intentionally add value to people. That's where I begin. When somebody raises their hand and says, hey, John, how do I increase my influence? It's very simple. Intentionally add value to people every day and in every way. The moment that you do that, that influence net begins to widen and broaden and bring more people in, and you begin to understand and live out this incredible law of influence. So my challenge to you before we get to chapter 3 is just start today, intentionally adding value to the people. Trust me, it'll help and serve you well as a leader.
So that was a word, and I do think that when I look at intentionally adding value, what does that look like for me? I do think that there is value in sharing my experience here. That is the intention, that hopefully it will help somebody by setting the example of. But I can say that even this when I look at it, it originally was a bit, not was, it is selfish because the motivation here is to check, to develop myself, to learn, and so I have to think about, well, what is the purpose for that? And it is not just for me. It is for everybody around me that we should be. I want to be helping other people. I want to be of value. I want to be apt to teach. So I really appreciate this chapter, and I'm actually going to go back and listen to it again. And since I'm doing marathon mode right now, I think that we should just go ahead and dive into the weekly readings for the 21 most powerful minutes in a leader's day. That way you'll know what Bible chapters we're studying. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I got to reshare to take us to the 21 most powerful minutes in a leader's day. And so this is this week's listening. So you can come back and just scroll to this part and listen to the readings again. But I hope you went ahead and purchased the books because I think they're really great to have and to highlight some of the talking points that you like and journal on them and reflect back on them. And if you are reflecting and journaling on things, share what you're journaling about. What did you pick up? What really stood out for you in this chapter? Also, as I say all the time, you can always shoot me an email. I'll put the banner up right now at sister7, oh, it's already up, at gmail.com. And you can tell me how your leadership journey is going, how it's progressing for you. So let's just get to it.
When you become a student of leaders, Week 2, the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. When you become a student of leaders, as I am, you begin to recognize people's level of influence in everyday situations all around you. Positional leadership doesn't work in volunteer organizations. In other organizations, the person who has position has incredible leverage in the form of salary, benefits, and perks. But in voluntary organizations, such as churches, the only thing that works is leadership in its purest form. Leaders have only their influence to aid them. And as Harry A. Overstreet observed, the very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. Followers in voluntary organizations cannot be forced to get on board. If the leader has no influence with them, then they won't follow. From the Law of Influence in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Day 1. Joshua and the Law of Influence. Leadership thought for today.
Before we get into that, I just want to say that really has me thinking about if you have a leadership position, like if you applied and you got the position and you've been there, or you were promoted, do the people listen to you because it's just the title that you have and they have to, or did you have influence before? And if you had it and you've lost it, how do you regain that? Or if you don't have it at all and the only reason they're listening to you is because they have to, what do you do about that? Now, there is some coverage of those because those were my questions, and I know Maxwell has a book where he covers these type of questions. So I will look into that and pull that out and see if, or even in this podcast, if he addresses that point because I'm sure he has. I'm sure because more than likely they always say if you thought of it, somebody else has thought it too, and that is true. So if you are not influential, if you have been brought into your leadership position under whatever circumstances, do the people respect you? And if they don't, why? And if they don't, what are you going to do about it? What kind of work are you willing to put in to reach that aim?
A. Overstreet observed, the very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. Followers in voluntary organizations cannot be forced to get on board. If the leader has no influence with them, then they won't follow.
From the Law of Influence in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Day 1. Joshua and the Law of Influence. Leadership thought for today. Leadership impact increases as influence increases. Read Numbers chapter 13, verses 1 through 33, chapter 14, verses 1 through 38, chapter 27, verses 12 through 23, and Joshua chapter 1, verses 1 through 18. The day that Joshua and Caleb stood before the children of Israel and tried to get them to enter the promised land, I doubt the two men really understood all that was at stake. They certainly possessed the vision of God for his people to enter the promised land. When the people resisted their rallying cry, the two men told them, "The land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey." Numbers chapter 14, verses 7 and 8. They also recognized the power of God to defeat their enemies. Both Joshua and Caleb had been present when God had closed the Red Sea over Pharaoh's army. But did they truly understand that their ability, or rather their inability, to lead the people in that moment would determine whether an entire generation of people would enjoy the land of milk and honey promised to their ancestors, or die in the desert? Obedience to God is important. Because Joshua and Caleb were obedient, they alone of the adult Jewish population entered the promised land. But for leaders, obedience isn't enough. If they can't take others on the trip, they fail their God-given mission. The nature of leadership. 1. Leadership is influence. Joshua came face to face with the true nature of leadership when he failed to influence the people to do what they should have done alone. His position as tribal leader did nothing to help him influence others. 2. Leaders do not possess influence in every area. According to Numbers chapter 13, verse 2, those selected to spy out the promised land were every one a leader. That means Joshua was a leader and had influence, but evidently his influence didn't reach beyond his tribe. 3. Our influence is either positive or negative. The scripture says nothing about the mood of the people as they waited for the return of the spies from the promised land, but they must have been in a state of anticipation. I believe that if all the spies had given a good report, the people of Israel would have obeyed God and crossed into the land. But influence is a two-edged sword. It cuts both positively and negatively. The 10 unfaithful tribal leaders used their influence to lead the people astray, and the result was disaster, not only for those leaders, but also for all of the followers. 4. Faithful leaders use their influence to add value. Influencers who lead because they desire to advance their own agendas manipulate the people for their own gain. That's what the other 10 spies did. They were afraid, and they used their influence to create fear in the people of Israel. They lied to the people, saying the land devours its inhabitants. On the other hand, Joshua and Caleb desired to motivate the people to do what was right for the benefit of everyone. That is always the agenda of great leaders. 5. With influence comes responsibility. Maybe the 10 unfaithful tribal leaders didn't desire to start a rebellion, but that's...
I have to stop right there and just go back that little bit, because that is something to think about when you're listening to content creators, when you're joining organizations, when you are listening to politicians. Who are you listening to that is influencing you out of your blessing? Who is causing you to wander 40 years in the dry desert? Who are you listening to that is going to influence you into dying in a dry, desolate place? Because you will not come, you are the unruly bride, and you will not come back under the submission and covering of the true and living God. Are you going to follow him, or are you going to follow man? And if you're going to follow man, you're going to die in a desolate place. And that's what happened to the children of Israel when they listened to the bad report. Who is giving you a bad report today? That's something you need to meditate on and think about, and that is when you will go to the scripture that tells us to try the spirit, right? 1 John 4:1, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. You are receiving false doctrine, false, bad, ill reports that are causing you to wander in the wilderness. That's something to contemplate and think about. And if you're not sure and you don't know if what you're hearing, seeing, or doing is in alignment with the will of God, you have one place to look, and that is in the Word. Have you read your Bible today?
Afraid, and they used their influence to create fear in the people of Israel. They lied to the people, saying,
Are you using your influence to lie to people? Are you using your influence to send out a bad report on other people? So the women of Titus tells us not to be false accusers. Are you out here being a false accuser? Are you a liar, a slanderer? Are you out here using your influence to cause people to wander in the dry desert?
the land devours its inhabitants. On the other hand, Joshua and Caleb desired to motivate the people to do what was right for the benefit of everyone. That is always the agenda of great leaders. 5. With influence comes responsibility. Maybe the 10 unfaithful tribal leaders didn't desire to start a rebellion, but that's what they did. Following their negative report about the Promised Land, the people sought to depose Moses and Aaron and return to the slavery of Egypt. As a result, those 10 leaders died of plague, and all of their followers died in the desert. Influencing others is a choice. Many people who experience ineffectiveness as leaders give up and never try to lead again. Fortunately for the children of Israel, Joshua was not that type of a person. He desired to become a better leader, and he would later receive a second chance. Meanwhile, he continued to be faithful to God and to learn as much as he could from Moses, who became his mentor. Today's question for reflection: what are you currently doing to increase your influence? Day 2. Leadership thought for today. When a leader has little influence, little can be accomplished. All the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. They cried, "Why has the Lord brought us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should become victims? Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt?" So they said to one another, "Let us select a leader and return to Egypt." But Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "How long shall I bear this evil congregation who complained against me? Say to them, As I live, says the Lord, just as you have spoken in my hearing, so I will do to you. The carcasses of you who have complained against me shall fall in this wilderness, all of you who were numbered, according to your entire number, from 20 years old and above, except for Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. You shall by no means enter the land. But your little ones, whom you said would be victims, I will bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised." Numbers chapter 14, verse 1, verses 3 and 4, verse 6, verses 26 through 31. Gaining influence with people takes time. It isn't achieved overnight. Joshua discovered that when he and Caleb tried to get the people to go into the Promised Land. Scripture indicates that no one followed their leadership. A leader's influence must be greater than the people's resistance. That is especially important when the people face a formidable challenge or extremely difficult circumstances. As my friend Andy Stanley says, you can't resist the will of God and receive the grace of God at the same time. In the case of Joshua, the people's resistance was huge, and Joshua's influence was small. Why the people resisted Joshua? 3 major factors caused the people to disregard Joshua and Caleb's advice and resist their leadership. 1. They forgot the past. When the Jews were in Egypt, the Egyptians made their lives bitter with hard bondage. Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. Though they hadn't been gone from Egypt long, they had already forgotten how miserable their lives had been there. 2. They were settled in with the present. God had answered the people's cries for help by sending them a leader to take them out of Egypt, out of slavery. Then, in their disobedience, they refused to enter Canaan, and they actually looked for a leader who would take them back. 3. They feared the future. The root of their problems was fear. Joshua and Caleb looked at the land of Canaan and saw only potential. The rest of the people looked and saw only pitfalls, even though God himself had promised them the land. When followers are faced with the prospect of taking unknown territory, they always experience fear. The greater the challenge, the greater their fear is likely to be. What causes them to overcome that fear and move forward in spite of it? Leadership. It's the size of the leader, not the size of the challenge, that determines whether people conquer new territory. If a leader's influence is great enough, the people will follow. When Joshua and Caleb tried to lead the people into the promised land the first time, they lacked influence, and as a result, they accomplished little. But 40 years later, when Joshua tried again, the people gladly followed. Why? Because he had become a person of great influence, and leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Today's question for reflection: is there an area where you aren't accomplishing as much as you could? Day 3. Leadership thought for today. When a leader has much influence, much can be accomplished. We make it our goal to please him, whether we are at home in the body or away from it. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that each one may receive what is due him for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad. Since then we know what it is to fear the Lord, we try to persuade men. What we are is plain to God, and I hope it is also plain to your conscience. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 9 through 11. How was Joshua, once a tribal leader incapable of persuading the people, transformed into a leader able to take the children of Israel into the land promised to their fathers? Why did his influence grow so much? Joshua's influence grew because he was right. From the beginning, Joshua had tried to do the right thing. He had tried to lead the people in the direction they should go. The first generation missed their opportunity to obey God and prosper. The next generation didn't. Not only was Joshua right, but he also tried to model right living. As a result, he consistently lived beyond his ability as a leader. If you desire to do great things in your leadership, then try to live according to this pattern that Joshua modeled. 1. Prayer. Joshua was a man of prayer. When Moses returned to camp following his times with God, Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, did not depart from the tabernacle. Exodus chapter 33, verse 11. He didn't ride his mentor's coattails. He developed his own relationship with God. 2. Obedience. Preacher and missionary Oswald Chambers said, "Never try to explain God until you've obeyed him. The only part of God we understand is the part we have obeyed." Joshua obeyed God as a servant, warrior, and a leader. When he spoke to the children of Israel to persuade them to enter Canaan, he did so as someone who understood God. The Hebrews did not share that same understanding. 3. Faith. Joshua's life was marked by courage, as he stood up against the other spies, as he fought the Amalekites. And courage is nothing more than faith in action. He lived his life by this formula: courage plus obedience today equals success tomorrow. When a leader's faith is great, he or she can do anything. As the saying goes, God puts no limitation on faith, and faith puts no limitation on God. 4. Commitment. Joshua's level of commitment can be seen in his willingness to risk his life. He fought in battles where he was vastly outnumbered, and the Israelites wanted to stone him when he stood up to them. But he never failed to give his best for what he believed. And as football legend George Halas remarked, nobody who ever gave his best regretted it. 5. Partnership. During World War II, King George VI of England encouraged his people with the following words: "And I said to a man who stood at the gate of the yard, 'Give me a light, that I may tread safely into the unknown.' And he replied, 'Go out into the darkness and put your hand into the hand of God. That will be to you better than a light, and safer than a known way.'" Through partnership with God, Joshua and the children of Israel were able to conquer Canaan. The conquest of Jericho most clearly shows that partnership with God outweighs any other advantage. Joshua's first order of priority was his character. He always valued what was right over what was popular. That provided a strong foundation upon which to build greater influence. Joshua's influence grew because of his relationship with Moses. The other major factor in Joshua's increase in influence was the impact of Moses on his life. Not long after the children of Israel escaped from Egypt, Moses selected Joshua to be his assistant. He was described as one of Moses' choice men. Numbers chapter 11, verse 28. Wherever Moses went, Joshua went with him, whether it was to go up Mount Sinai or to meet with God in the tabernacle. After the Hebrews refused to enter the promised land, the mentoring relationship between the two men continued. The process lasted 40 years and culminated with Moses imparting his authority to the younger man. We read in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 7, "Then Moses called Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, 'Be strong and of good courage. For you must go with this people to the land which the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. After Moses died, no one questioned Joshua's leadership. Preacher and writer A.W. Tozier said, God is looking for people through whom he can do the impossible. What a pity that we plan only the things we can do by ourselves. Crossing over into the promised land and conquering its people was a humanly impossible task. Yet Joshua was willing to take on that challenge, and by the time he got his second chance to do it, he had enough influence with the people to take them along. Today's question for reflection: in what areas are you accomplishing much through your influence? Day 4. Leadership thought for today. When a leader places family first, future generations will be blessed. Joshua said, Now therefore, fear the Lord, serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. And if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So the people answered and said, Far be it from us that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods. For the Lord our God is he who brought us and our fathers up out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, who did those great signs in our sight, and preserved us in all the way that we went, and among all the people through whom we passed. And the Lord drove out from before us all the people, including the Amorites, who dwelt in the land. We also will serve the Lord, for he is our God. Joshua chapter 24, verses 14 through 18. As a leader, where should your influence begin? A good answer can be drawn from the life of Joshua. For him, as for other leaders wanting to make an impact beyond their lifetimes, it began at home. Before anything else, Joshua took responsibility for the spiritual life of his family. Take a look at Joshua's values when it came to leadership. 1. Joshua's leadership of his family was greater than his leadership of the country. It may sound ironic, but when a leader puts his family first, the community benefits. When a leader puts the community first, both his family and the community suffer. Starting at home is always the key to affecting others in a positive way. Because Joshua had his priorities right and had led the household well, he gained credibility to lead the entire house of Israel. 2. Regardless of what others did, Joshua didn't wait for the crowd. When Joshua stood before the people of Israel and declared that no matter what the rest of the people did, he would follow God, he wasn't bluffing or grandstanding. I believe he meant it. When the people responded that they would follow God, Joshua tested and warned them. Joshua said to the people, You cannot serve the Lord, for he is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. If you forsake the Lord and serve foreign gods, then he will turn and do you harm and consume you after he has done you good. Joshua chapter 24, verses 19 and 20. Joshua didn't follow the crowd at the beginning of his career when the spies rebelled against God and Moses, and he didn't follow the crowd when his career was at its end. He led his family with integrity and encouraged them to do what was right. 3. Joshua modeled faith-filled leadership as a parent. Yesterday, I discussed the kind of life Joshua lived, a life of prayer, faith, and obedience. For the health of a family, nothing can replace the modeling of a spiritual leader. I was privileged to have virtuous parental models at home. My parents, Melvin and Laura Maxwell, influenced the path of my life because I consistently heard them pray earnestly and often, listened as they talked about the things of God, heard them share their faith with others, saw them put God first in their finances, went with them to visit the unfortunate, heard them say only positive things about other people, watched them grow mentally and spiritually, sensed their deep love and commitment for each other, sensed their relationship of intimacy with God. If you have a family, I want to encourage you to put them first in your leadership. There is no legacy like that of the positive influence a leader can exercise with his family. A wonderful example of this kind of influence can be found in the early years of American history. Jonathan Edwards, the notable preacher of the early 18th century, and his wife, Sarah, left an incredible legacy based on their influence. Their descendants include the following: 13 college presidents, 65 college professors, 100 lawyers, including the dean of a law school, 30 judges, 66 physicians, including the dean of a medical school, 80 holders of public office, including 3 senators, 3 mayors of large cities, 3 governors, a U.S. vice president, and a comptroller of the U.S. Treasury. If you want to impact your community, your country, or your world, the place to start is in your home. Today's question for reflection: are you truly placing your family first? Day 5. Bringing the law to life. Taking it in. You've spent the last few days reading about the law of influence and Joshua's leadership. Take 5 to 10 minutes and meditate on the following statements and their implications for the way you approach leadership. 1. Leadership impact increases as influence increases. 2. When a leader has little influence, little can be accomplished. 3. When a leader has much influence, much can be accomplished. 4. When a leader places family first, future generations will be blessed. Praying through it. Use the following words to begin your time of prayer. Dear God, reveal to me my true level of influence on others. Show me my weaknesses so that I may submit them to you for your grace. Strengthen me so that I can better serve you through leadership and increase my influence with others. Teach me to be salt and light to others, not to benefit myself, but to add value to others. And above all, empower me to place my family first when it comes to leadership. Let my influence begin with the modeling of a faithful life. Amen. Living it out. What must you do to increase your influence, to be more like Joshua? Do you need to realign your moral compass so that you do what's right? Do you need to develop better relationships with the people you lead? Should you find a mentor to be your Moses? Or do you need to reorder your priorities to put your family first? What concrete, specific action can you take immediately to improve your ability to live the law of influence? Passing it on. Which one leadership concept, insight, or practice that you've learned this week you will pass on to another leader in the next 2 days?
So
Week
that
3.
was
The law of process.
Hold on.
Leadership develops daily, not in a day.
That's right. The law process will be next. But right now, we're going to take some time to meditate and reflect on everything that we've heard and read and listened to today. If you haven't had a chance to do any reading, this will be your time to do that. So this is what some of our writing and reading accountability sessions will be like. We'll have some ambient music and just give ourselves a chance to rest and reflect. Hopefully you'll take this time. This will be the writing and meditation portion of the show today. So that's what we're doing here. So. Okay, so that was our writing accountability session. I think that we spent about 54 minutes, almost an hour, for our writing session. I hope you had a chance to stop and reflect on the things that really registered with you today during today's reading and studying session. I would say for me, what really resonated was that recognizing, really thinking about it and reflecting on it, that my level of influence definitely needs improvement. It was something, like I said, that I hadn't even really thought of because, I always see influence as, I know people, we call social media content creators influencers, and I always thought about it in the sense that, yes, you have influence, but I think I didn't really think about it in terms of myself. And I always see trying to influence someone as manipulation, but there is a middle ground, and it doesn't have to be manipulation. And I think that's why I never thought about it that way, because I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do or influence them, but when you are exemplifying or doing your best to observe biblical principles and um, behavior that becomes holiness, you are being a light, and that's influence. Being a light is influence, and that's something I think I just didn't really give a lot of thought to. So I got a lot out of today's reading, and I'm really looking forward to reading Influences Your Superpower. So I have on here our study materials. As you all know, we're covering the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell and the 21 Most Powerful Minutes of Leaders Today. Now, I said marathon. The party isn't stopping. Now, we're going to actually go, because I asked you all to read Samuel. Actually, we're going to read 2 Samuel, because remember, we were talking about David and Saul. So let's just listen to 2 Samuel. It's a marathon, yeah. So
The second book of Samuel.
let me make sure I'm showing it here. I am. And let's listen, and then we'll come back and discuss.
The second book of Samuel, otherwise called the second book of the Kings. Chapter 1. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag, it came even to pass on the 3rd day, that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul, with his clothes rent, and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth, and did obeisance. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, that the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear.
Actually, I apologize. We're not going to start with 2 Samuel. Actually, we're going to go to 1 Samuel. We might as well start at the beginning here. Let's just go ahead. Start here.
Drew near. The first book of Samuel, otherwise called the first book of the Kings. Chapter 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephrathite. And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters, portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah. But the Lord had shut up her womb. And her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because the Lord had shut up her womb. And as he did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, so she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Then said Elkanah her husband to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons? So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post of the temple of the Lord. And she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept. O hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but wilt give unto thine handmaid a man-child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart. Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. And Eli said unto her, How long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. And Hannah answered and said, No, my lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. And she said,
You know, one of the things the reason why I wanted to go through Samuel, because I was just talking to Dale about this, is there are so many lessons in leadership and faith that come out of Samuel, even before we get to Saul and David. Because if you are, when I just listening and thinking about Hannah and how, her husband loved her, and obviously the second wife, here we go with this second wife thing, and I just want to add that point that if we talk about the law, you will notice that there are criteria for the treatment of wives with an S. So having multiple wives is not a sin. However, all things is, I think John said it best, all things that have been, everything that you can do. Let me paraphrase here. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. There are things that are lawful that some men do well with multiple wives, and there are many who do not. But it is not for us to tell other people how to manage their household. If someone is in a plural marriage, that is their plural business. Mind your business. Anyway, but I thought it was interesting that how one of the other wives was her. It was clear her adversary, and I think that a lot of times we really don't think in terms of these things with your relationship. I can just think in the workplace. I can say for me personally, like just that's why I love Samuel. There are so many leadership lessons here. In going through the situations that I've gone through in the workplace, never thought of the person who, and I guess we might as well say my adversary. I never looked at it that way, as an adversary or somebody I was at war with. And I was just talking about on a different stream how the person who I'm at odds with said to my representative that I know we're enemies, but blah blah blah, and he said, "I'm not your enemy. I'm just doing my job." And it made me realize, wow, if they think that he's their enemy, what am I? And that's when I really understood that I was not operating the same principles that this other person is. And so it really made me look at the dynamics that I have with them. And I would say, who is your adversary today in your life? And are you going to handle that adversary the proper way? And so when I looked at what is the proper way to handle an adversary such as this, Hannah is a shining example, and that is to she took her petition to the Most High. And in a lot of cases, her womb being shut up was a situation her husband could not fix for her. Some situations in your family, on your job, are situations that your husband may not be able to fix for you, but the true and living God can. And so Hannah is an example of what happens when we honor the Most High, we do His will, and we take our complaints to the Lord. When there are things that we cannot overcome, that we can't fix on our own, that our husbands can't fix for us, we take those petitions to the Lord, and you see Hannah doing that right there. She didn't go beat the woman up. She didn't go poison her cat or anything. She took her complaint to the Most High. So I just wanted to point that out as we listen here.
Let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. And they rose up in the morning early, and worshipped before the Lord, and returned and came to their house, to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever. And Elkanah her husband said unto her, Do what seemeth thee good. Tarry until thou have weaned him, only the Lord establish his word. So the woman abode, and gave her son suck, until she weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bullocks, and 1 ephah of flour, and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord in Shiloh. And the child was young. And they slew a bullock, and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. Chapter 2. Prayed and said, My heart rejoiceth in the Lord. Mine horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee. Neither is there any rock like our God. Talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased. So that the barren hath borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. The Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave.
Did you guys hear what she just said? That she that was barren hath borne 7. So she was blessed with more children, and the woman who was her adversary, who vexed her, she was now feeble. See, a lot of times we want things to happen in our time, but just listening to that really blessed me to remember that things will happen in God's time. So the adversary that is vexing you right now, it may seem to them at that time, the woman that was harassing her, she thought she was winning. She was on top. I have the children. She had it, right? But look at you now. And it's a never to look down and say, aha, because the Lord giveth and he'll take us away in a minute. But it is just to show you that if you wait on him, if you wait on his timing and you do his will, your season will come. And guess what? Hannah is having her season. And man, not only does she have a son who is lent to the Lord, but she was blessed to give more.
And bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness. For by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed. And Elkanah went to Ramah to his house, and the child did minister unto the Lord before Eli the priest. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They knew not the Lord. And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came, while the flesh was in seething, with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand. And he struck it into the pan, or kettle, or cauldron, or pot. All that the flesh hook brought up, the priest took for himself. So they did in Shiloh unto all the Israelites that came thither. Also, before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed, Give flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh of thee, but raw. And if any man said unto him, Let them not fail to burn the fat presently, and then take as much as thy soul desireth, then he would answer him, Nay, but thou shalt give it me now, and if not, I will take it by force. Wherefore the sin of the young men was very great before the Lord, for men abhorred the offering of the Lord. But Samuel ministered before the Lord, being a child, girded with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little coat, and brought it to him from year to year, when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, The Lord give thee seed of this woman for the loan which is lent to the Lord. And they went unto their own home. And the Lord visited Hannah, so that she conceived, and bare 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the child Samuel grew before the Lord. Now Eli was very old, and heard all that his sons did unto all Israel, and how they lay with the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he said unto them, Why do ye such things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all his people. Nay, my sons, for it is no good report that I hear. Ye make the Lord's people to transgress. If one man sin against another, the judge shall judge him. But if a man sin against the Lord, who shall entreat for him? Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto the voice of their father, because the Lord would slay them. And the child Samuel grew on, and was in favor both with the Lord and also with men. And there came a man of God unto Eli, and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Did I plainly appear unto the house of thy father, when they were in Egypt in Pharaoh's house? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to offer upon mine altar, to burn incense, to wear an ephod before me? And did I give unto all the offerings made by fire of the children of Israel? Wherefore kick ye at my sacrifice and at mine offering, which I have commanded in my habitation, and honourest thy sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the chiefest of all the offerings of Israel my people? Wherefore the Lord God of Israel saith, I said indeed that thy house and the house of thy father should walk before me forever. But now the Lord saith, Be it far from me. For them that honour me I will honour, and they that despise me shall be lightly esteemed. Behold, the days come that I will cut off thine arm, and house, that there shall not be an old man in thine house, and thou shalt see an enemy in my habitation, in all the wealth which God shall give Israel. And there shall not be an old man in thine house forever. And the man of thine whom I shall not cut off from mine altar shall be to consume thine eyes, and to grieve thine heart. And all the increase of thine house shall die in the flower of their age. And this shall be a sign unto thee, that shall come upon thy 2 sons, on Hophni and Phinehas. In one day they shall die, both of them. And I will raise me up a faithful priest, that shall do according to that which is in mine heart and in my mind. And I will build him a sure house, and he shall walk before mine anointed forever. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left in thine house shall come and crouch to him for a piece of silver and a morsel of bread, and shall say, Put me, I pray thee, into one of the priest's offices, that I may eat a piece of bread. Chapter 3. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision. And it came to pass at that time, when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see, and ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep, that the Lord called Samuel. And he answered, Here am I. And he ran unto Eli, and said, Here am I, for thou calledst me. And he said, I called not. Lie down again. And he went and lay down. And the Lord called yet again, Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I called not, my son. Lie down again. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go, lie down. And it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. And Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of every one that heareth it shall tingle. In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli, that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever. And Samuel lay until the morning, and opened the doors of the house of the Lord. And Samuel feared to show Eli the vision. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. And he said, What is the thing that the Lord hath said unto thee? I pray thee, hide it not from me. God do so to thee, and more also, if thou hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto thee. And Samuel told him every whit, and hid nothing from him. And he said, It is the Lord. Let him do what seemeth him good. And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of the Lord. And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh. For the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. Chapter 4. And the word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and pitched beside Ebenezer, and the Philistines pitched in Aphek. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, and they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, Wherefore hath the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies. So the people sent to Shiloh, that they might bring from thence the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth between the cherubims. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang again. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, What meaneth the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And they understood that the ark of the Lord was come into the camp. And the Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is come into the camp. And they said, Woe unto us, for there hath not been such a thing heretofore. Woe unto us! Who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. Be strong, and quit yourselves like men, O ye Philistines, that ye be not servants unto the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men, and fight. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten, and they fled every man into his tent. And there was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. And the ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. And there ran a man of Benjamin out of the army, and came to Shiloh the same day with his clothes rent and with earth upon his head. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, What meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, What is there done, my son? And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there hath been also a great slaughter among the people, and thy 2 sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken. And it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died. For he was an old man and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. And his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was with child, near to be delivered. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of God was taken, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and travailed, for her pains came upon her. And about the time of her death, the women that stood by her said unto her, Fear not, for thou hast borne a son. But she answered not, neither did she regard it. And she named the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, The glory is departed from Israel, for the ark of God is taken. Chapter 5. And the Philistines took the ark of God, and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon, and set it by Dagon. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon, and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon, and both the palms of his hands, were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore neither the priests of Dagon, nor any that come into Dagon's house, tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coasts thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, The ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us, and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. And it was so that, after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts. Therefore they sent the ark of God to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said, Send away the ark of the God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. And the men that died not were smitten with the emerods, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. Chapter 6. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to his place. And they said, If ye send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then ye shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, What shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emerods, and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For one plague was on you all, and on your lords. Wherefore ye shall make images of your emerods, and images of your mice that mar the land, and ye shall give glory unto the God of Israel. Peradventure he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Wherefore then do ye harden your hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts? When he had wrought wonderfully among them, did they not let the people go, and they departed? Now therefore make a new cart, and take 2 milch kine on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart. And put the jewels of gold, which ye return him for a trespass offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away, that it may go. And see, if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Bethshemesh, then he hath done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us, it was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milch kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of their emerods. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Bethshemesh, and went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Bethshemesh. And they of Bethshemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes, and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Joshua, a Bethshemite, and stood there where there was a great stone. And they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the kine a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Bethshemesh offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emerods, which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering unto the Lord. For Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Askelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron 1. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both of fenced cities and of country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua the Bethshemite. And he smote the men of Bethshemesh, because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 50,060 men. And the people lamented, because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter. And the men of Bethshemesh said, Who is able to stand before this holy Lord God? And to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath-jearim, saying, The Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come ye down, and fetch it up to you. Chapter 7. And the men of Kirjath-jearim came, and fetched up the ark of the Lord, and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass, while the ark abode in Kirjath-jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, If ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your heart unto the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth, and served the Lord only. And Samuel said, Gather all Israel to Mizpeh, and I will pray for you unto the Lord. And they gathered together to Mizpeh, and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said there, We have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpeh. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpeh, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, Cease not to cry unto the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. And Samuel took a sucking lamb, and offered it for a burnt offering holy unto the Lord. And Samuel cried unto the Lord for Israel, and the Lord heard him. And as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpeh, and pursued the Philistines, and smote them until they came unto Bethkar. Then Samuel took a stone, and set it between Mizpeh and Shen, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, Hitherto hath the Lord helped us. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even unto Gath. And the coasts thereof did Israel deliver out of the hands of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpeh, and judged Israel in all those places. And his return was to Ramah, for there was his house. And there he judged Israel, and there he built an altar unto the Lord. Chapter 8. And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel, when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice. Howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them.
Do you see why Israel constantly stays in trouble? It's the same reason why we stay in trouble today. Every time God delivers us out of a bad situation, like a dog returns to his vomit, we go back to looking at the world, lusting and chasing after it. Now they just got their behind saved from the Philistines, and here they go again. So now you went from wanting to worship these foreign gods and serving these idols of these other nations. Now you want a king just like these other nations. And this is why we continually see them in a state that they are constantly in, constantly getting spanked. And here we are again today, constantly getting spanked. We don't understand why the things happen in our community. If you look at the Bible, you can't tell me we're not them people, because just the consistent back and forth. And here we are again, yet again. Israel just can't stop. So I will say this to you and to me, we have to examine how are we showing up for the Most High. And I can honestly say that I've been talking to my husband about this. I wrestle with it. It's like I say that I have faith and I know that he's going to pull me through, but I keep trying to make things happen in my own time. If I believe that he is going to take care of me, am I waiting on the Lord? No, I'm not. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do it. I got to go get this. I got to do it. And instead of, obviously, the situation is going on for a reason. Obviously, there is something here that the Lord wants me to see and learn. And when I look at my situation, I am in a season of learning quite a bit right now. When I be still, when I fast and I pray and I read and do what I'm supposed to do, revelation happens. I start understanding why I'm in the season that I'm in. And then I start being blessed. But just like my forefathers, I get right back out there and I'm going to fix it again. And that's why I travail over and over again. But let's continue.
And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed, and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Lord will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, and go out before us, and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his city. Chapter 9. Now there was a man of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. And he had a son, whose name was Saul, a choice young man, and a goodly. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward he was higher than any of the people. And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said to Saul his son, Take now one of the servants with thee, and arise, go seek the asses. And he passed through Mount Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they found them not. Then they passed through the land of Shalem, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they found them not. And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, Come and let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses, and take thought for us. And he said unto him, Behold now, there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man. All that he saith cometh surely to pass. Now let us go thither. Peradventure he can show us our way that we should go. Then said Saul to his servant, But behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again and said, Behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of a shekel of silver. That will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, thus he spake, Come and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. Then said Saul to his servant, Well said, come, let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of God was. And as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, Is the seer here? And they answered them and said, He is. Behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he came today to the city. For there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. As soon as ye be come into the city, ye shall straightway find him, before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doth bless the sacrifice. And afterwards they eat that be bidden. Now therefore get you up, for about this time ye shall find him. And they went up into the city, and when they were come into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them, for to go up to the high place. Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, Tomorrow, about this time, I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, Behold the man whom I spake to thee of. This same shall reign over my people. Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel answered Saul, and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me today. And tomorrow
I just, just listening to this, I just had to be thankful, because I just marvel at the love and mercy of God, that despite the children of Israel rejecting him and constantly going against him, he still loves his unruly bride truly and deeply and cares for us and is always trying to deliver us from our own foolishness. And so I don't know if that just touched you, but just here he's saying, the cries of my people have come up. So go ahead and anoint this guy so he can go and deliver my people from the Philistines. Like God just loves us. And if we just would return to him and serve him with all our heart, soul, and mind, he will deliver us from what we're going through today.
House is. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer, out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, Behold the man whom I spake to thee of. This same shall reign over my people. Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me today. And tomorrow I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thine heart. And as for thine asses that were lost 3 days ago, set not thy mind on them, for they are found. And on whom is all the desire of Israel? Is it not on thee, and on all thy father's house? And Saul answered and said, Am not I a Benjamite of the smallest of the tribes of Israel, and my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so to me? And Samuel took Saul and his servant, and brought them into the parlor, and made them sit in the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. And Samuel said unto the cook, Bring the portion which I gave thee, of which I said unto thee, Set it by thee. And the cook took up the shoulder, and that which was upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, Behold that which is left. Set it before thee, and eat. For unto this time hath it been kept for thee, since I said, I have invited the people. So Saul did eat with Samuel that day. And when they were come down from the high place into the city, Samuel communed with Saul upon the top of the house. And they arose early, and it came to pass, about the spring of the day, that Samuel called Saul to the top of the house, saying, Up, that I may send thee away. And Saul arose, and they went out, both of them, he and Samuel, abroad. And as they were going down to the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, Bid the servant pass on before us. And he passed on. But stand thou still a while, that I may show thee the word of God. Chapter 10. Then Samuel took a vial of oil, and poured it upon his head, and kissed him, and said, Is it not because the Lord hath anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance? When thou art departed from me today, then thou shalt find 2 men by Rachel's sepulchre in the border of Benjamin at Zelzah, and they will say unto thee, The asses which thou wentest to seek are found. And lo, thy father hath left the care of the asses, and sorroweth for you, saying, What shall I do for my son? Then shalt thou go on forward from thence, and thou shalt come to the plain of Tabor. And there shall meet thee 3 men going up to God to Bethel, one carrying 3 kids, and another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a bottle of wine. And they will salute thee, and give thee 2 loaves of bread, which thou shalt receive of their hands. After that thou shalt come to the hill of God, where is the garrison of the Philistines. And it shall come to pass, when thou art come thither to the city, that thou shalt meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place, with a psaltery, and a tabret, and a pipe, and a harp before them, and they shall prophesy. And the Spirit of the Lord will come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with them, and shalt be turned into another man. And let it be, when these signs are come unto thee, that thou do as occasion serve thee, for God is with thee. And thou shalt go down before me to Gilgal. And behold, I will come down unto thee to offer burnt offerings, and to sacrifice sacrifices of peace offerings. 7 days shalt thou tarry till I come to thee, and show thee what thou shalt do. And it was so, that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, God gave him another heart, and all those signs came to pass that day. And when they came thither to the hill, behold, a company of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came upon him, and he prophesied among them. And it came to pass, when all that knew him before times saw that, behold, he prophesied among the prophets, then the people said one to another, What is this that is come unto the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? And one of the same place answered and said, But who is their father? Therefore it became a proverb, Is Saul also among the prophets? And when he had made an end of prophesying, he came to the high place. And Saul's uncle said unto him and to his servant, Whither went ye? And he said, To seek the asses. And when we saw that they were nowhere, we came to Samuel. And Saul's uncle said, Tell me, I pray thee, what Samuel said unto you. And Saul said unto his uncle, He told us plainly that the asses were found. But of the matter of the kingdom whereof Samuel spake, he told him not. And Samuel called the people together unto the Lord to Mizpeh, and said unto the children of Israel, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you. And ye have this day rejected your God, who himself saved you out of all your adversities and your tribulations. And ye have said unto him, Nay, but set a king over us. Now therefore, present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands. And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken. When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken. And Saul, the son of Kish, was taken. And when they sought him, he could not be found. Therefore they inquired of the Lord further, if the man should yet come thither. And the Lord answered, Behold, he hath hid himself among the stuff. And they ran and fetched him thence. And when he stood among the people, he was higher than any of the people from his shoulders and upward. And Samuel said to all the people, See ye him whom the Lord hath chosen, that there is none like him among all the people? And all the people shouted and said, God save the king! Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom, and wrote it in a book, and laid it up before the Lord. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house. And Saul also went home to Gibeah, and there went with him a band of men whose hearts God had touched. But the children of Belial said, How shall this man save us? And they despised him, and brought him no presents. But he held his peace. Chapter 11. Then Nahash the Ammonite came up and encamped against Jabesh-Gilead. And all the men of Jabesh said unto Nahash, Make a covenant with us, and we will serve thee. And Nahash the Ammonite answered them, On this condition will I make a covenant with you, that I may thrust out all your right eyes, and lay it for a reproach upon all Israel. And the elders of Jabesh said unto him, Give us 7 days' respite, that we may send messengers unto all the coasts of Israel. And then, if there be no man to save us, we will come out to thee. Then came the messengers to Gibeah of Saul, and told the tidings in the ears of the people. And all the people lifted up their voices and wept. And behold, Saul came after the herd out of the field. And Saul said, What aileth the people that they weep? And they told him the tidings of the men of Jabesh. And the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard those tidings, and his anger was kindled greatly. And he took a yoke of oxen, and hewed them in pieces, and sent them throughout all the coasts of Israel by the hands of messengers, saying, Whosoever cometh not forth after Saul and after Samuel, so shall it be done unto his oxen. And the fear of the Lord fell on the people, and they came out with one consent. And when he numbered them in Bezek, the children of Israel were 300,000, and the men of Judah 30,000. And they said unto the messengers that came, Thus shall ye say unto the men of Jabesh-Gilead, Tomorrow by that time the sun be hot, ye shall have help. And the messengers came and showed it to the men of Jabesh, and they were glad. Therefore the men of Jabesh said, Tomorrow we will come out unto you, and ye shall do with us all that seemeth good unto you. And it was so on the morrow that Saul put the people in 3 companies, and they came into the midst of the host in the morning watch, and slew the Ammonites until the heat of the day. And it came to pass that they which remained were scattered, so that 2 of them were not left together. And the people said unto Samuel, Who is he that said, Shall Saul reign over us? Bring the men, that we may put them to death. And Saul said, There shall not a man be put to death this day, for today the Lord hath wrought salvation in Israel. Then said Samuel to the people, Come and let us go to Gilgal and renew the kingdom there. And all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord in Gilgal. And there they sacrificed sacrifices of peace offerings before the Lord. And there Saul and all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly. Chapter 12. And Samuel said unto all Israel, Behold, I have hearkened unto your voice in all that ye said unto me, and have made a king over you. And now, behold, the king walketh before you. And I am old and grey-headed, and behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my childhood unto this day. Behold, here I am. Witness against me before the Lord and before his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Or whose ass have I taken? Or whom have I defrauded? Whom have I oppressed? Or of whose hand have I received any bribe to blind mine eyes therewith? And I will restore it you. And they said, Thou hast not defrauded us, nor oppressed us, neither hast thou taken aught of any man's hand. And he said unto them, The Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that ye have not found aught in my hand. And they answered, He is witness. And Samuel said unto the people, It is the Lord that advanced Moses and Aaron, and that brought your fathers up out of the land of Egypt. Now therefore stand still, that I may reason with you before the Lord of all the righteous acts of the Lord, which he did to you and to your fathers. When Jacob was come into Egypt, and your fathers cried unto the Lord, then the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, which brought forth your fathers out of Egypt, and made them dwell in this place. And when they forgat the Lord their God, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, captain of the host of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab, and they fought against them. And they cried unto the Lord, and said, We have sinned, because we have forsaken the Lord, and have served Baalim and Ashtaroth. But now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve thee. And the Lord sent Jerubbaal, and Bedan, and Jephthah, and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies on every side, and ye dwelled safe. And when ye saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, ye said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king. Now therefore, behold the king whom ye have chosen, and whom ye have desired. And behold, the Lord hath set a king over you. If ye will fear the Lord, and serve him, and obey his voice, and not rebel against the commandment of the Lord, then shall both ye and also the king that reigneth over you continue following the Lord your God. But if ye will not obey the voice of the Lord, but rebel against the commandment of the Lord, then shall the hand of the Lord be against you, as it was against your fathers. Now therefore, stand and see this great thing which the Lord will do before your eyes. Is it not wheat harvest today? I will call unto the Lord, and he shall send thunder and rain, that ye may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which ye have done in the sight of the Lord in asking you a king. So Samuel called unto the Lord, and the Lord sent thunder and rain that day, and all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel. And all the people said unto Samuel, Pray for thy servants unto the Lord thy God, that we die not. For we have added unto all our sins this evil, to ask us a king. And Samuel said unto the people, Fear not, ye have done all this wickedness. Yet turn not aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart, and turn ye not aside. For then should ye go after vain things, which cannot profit nor deliver, for they are vain. For the Lord will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it hath pleased the Lord to make you his people. Moreover, as for me, God forbid that I should sin against the Lord in ceasing to pray for you. But I will teach you the good and the right way. Only fear the Lord, and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he hath done for you. But if ye shall still do wickedly, ye shall be consumed, both ye and your king. Chapter 13. Saul reigned 1 year, and when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose him 3,000 men of Israel, whereof 2,000 were with Saul in Michmash and in Mount Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent every man to his tent. And Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistines that was in Geba, and the Philistines heard of it. And Saul blew the trumpet throughout all the land, saying, Let the Hebrews hear. And all Israel heard say that Saul had smitten a garrison of the Philistines, and that Israel also was had an abomination with the Philistines. And the people were called together after Saul to Gilgal. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand which is on the seashore in multitude. And they came up and pitched in Michmash, eastward from Bethaven. When the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, for the people were distressed, then the people did hide themselves in caves and in thickets, and in rocks, and in high places, and in pits. And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. And he tarried 7 days, according to the set time that Samuel had appointed. But Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. And Saul said, Bring hither a burnt offering to me, and peace offerings. And he offered the burnt offering. And it came to pass, that as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him, that he might salute him. And Samuel said, What hast thou done? And Saul said, Because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that thou camest not within the days appointed, and that the Philistines gathered themselves together at Michmash. Therefore, said I, the Philistines will come down now upon me to Gilgal, and I have not made supplication unto the Lord. I forced myself, therefore, and offered a burnt offering. And Samuel said to Saul, Thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. The Lord hath sought him a man after his own heart, and the Lord hath commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee. And Samuel arose, and gat him up from Gilgal unto Gibeah of Benjamin. And Saul numbered the people that were present with him, about 600 men. And Saul and Jonathan his son, and the people that were present with them, abode in Gibeah of Benjamin. But the Philistines encamped in Michmash. And the spoilers came out of the camp of the Philistines in 3 companies. 1 company turned unto the way that leadeth to Ophrah, unto the land of Shual. And another company turned the way to Beth-horon. And another company turned to the way of the border that looketh to the valley of Zeboim, toward the wilderness. Now there was no smith found throughout all the land of Israel. For the Philistines said, Lest the Hebrews make them swords or spears. But all the Israelites went down to the Philistines, to sharpen every man his share, and his coulter, and his axe, and his mattock. Yet they had a file for the mattocks, and for the coulters, and for the forks, and for the axes, and to sharpen the goads. So it came to pass in the day of battle, that there was neither sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people that were with Saul and Jonathan. But with Saul and with Jonathan his son was there found. And the garrison of the Philistines went out to the passage of Michmash. Chapter 14. Now it came to pass upon a day that Jonathan the son of Saul said unto the young man that bare his armor, Come, and let us go over to the Philistines' garrison that is on the other side. But he told not his father. And Saul tarried in the uttermost part of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree which is in Migron. And the people that were with him were about 600 men. And Ahiah, the son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the Lord's priest in Shiloh, wearing an ephod. And the people knew not that Jonathan was gone. And between the passages by which Jonathan sought to go over unto the Philistines' garrison, there was a sharp rock on the one side, and a sharp rock on the other side. And the name of the one was Bozez, and the name of the other Seni. The forefront of the one was situate northward, over against Michmash, and the other southward, over against Gibeah. And Jonathan said to the young man that bare his armor, Come, and let us go over unto the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for there is no restraint to the Lord to save by many or by few. And his armor-bearer said unto him, Do all that is in thine heart. Turn thee, behold, I am with thee according to thy heart. Then said Jonathan, Behold, we will pass over unto these men, and we will discover ourselves unto them. If they say thus unto us, Tarry until we come to you. Then we will stand still in our place, and will not go up unto them. But if they say thus, Come up unto us, then we will go up, for the Lord hath delivered them into our hand, and this shall be a sign unto us. And both of them discovered themselves unto the garrison of the Philistines. And the Philistines said, Behold, the Hebrews come forth out of the holes where they had hidden themselves. And the men of the garrison answered Jonathan and his armor-bearer, and said, Come up to us, and we will show you a thing. And Jonathan said unto his armor-bearer, Come up after me, for the Lord hath delivered them into the hand of Israel. And Jonathan climbed up upon his hands and upon his feet, and his armor-bearer after him, and they fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer slew after him. And that first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor-bearer made was about 20 men, within as it were an half acre of land, which a yoke of oxen might plow. And there was trembling in the host, in the field, and among all the people. The garrison and the spoilers, they also trembled, and the earth quaked. So it was a very great trembling. And the watchmen of Saul and Gibeah of Benjamin looked, and behold, the multitude melted away, and they went on beating down one another. Then said Saul unto the people that were with him, Number now, and see who is gone from us. And when they had numbered, behold, Jonathan and his armor-bearer were not there. And Saul said unto Ahiah, Bring hither the ark of God. For the ark of God was at that time with the children of Israel. And it came to pass, while Saul talked unto the priest, that the noise that was in the host of the Philistines went on and increased. And Saul said unto the priest, Withdraw thine hand. And Saul and all the people that were with him assembled themselves, and they came to the battle. And behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was a very great discomfiture. Moreover, the Hebrews that were with the Philistines before that time, which went up with them into the camp from the country round about, even they also turned to be with the Israelites that were with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise all the men of Israel which had hid themselves in Mount Ephraim, when they heard that the Philistines fled, even they also followed hard after them in the battle. So the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle passed over unto Bethaven. And the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had adjured the people, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food until evening, that I may be avenged on mine enemies. So none of the people tasted any food. And all they of the land came to a wood, and there was honey upon the ground. And when the people were come into the wood, behold, the honey dropped. But no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put forth the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in an honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes were enlightened. Then answered one of the people, and said, Thy father straitly charged the people with an oath, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food this day. And the people were faint. Then said Jonathan, My father hath troubled the land. See, I pray you, how mine eyes have been enlightened, because I tasted a little of this honey. How much more, if haply the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found? For had there not been now a much greater slaughter among the Philistines? And they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aijalon, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoil, and took sheep and oxen and calves, and slew them on the ground. And the people did eat them with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, Behold, the people sin against the Lord, in that they eat with the blood. And he said, Ye have transgressed. Roll a great stone unto me this day. And Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and say unto them, Bring me hither every man his ox, and every man his sheep, and slay them here, and eat, and sin not against the Lord in eating with the blood. And all the people brought every man his ox with him that night, and slew them there. And Saul built an altar unto the Lord. The same was the first altar that he built unto the Lord. And Saul said, Let us go down after the Philistines by night, and spoil them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatsoever seemeth good unto thee. Then said the priest, Let us draw near hither unto God. And Saul asked counsel of God, Shall I go down after the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he answered him not that day. And Saul said, Draw ye near hither, all the chief of the people, and know and see wherein this sin hath been this day. For as the Lord liveth, which saveth Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But there was not a man among all the people that answered him. Then said he unto all Israel, Be ye on one side, and I and Jonathan my son will be on the other side. And the people said unto Saul, Do what seemeth good unto thee. Therefore Saul said unto the Lord God of Israel, Give a perfect lot. And Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, Cast lots between me and Jonathan my son. And Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, Tell me what thou hast done. And Jonathan told him and said, I did but taste a little honey with the end of the rod that was in mine hand, and lo, I must die. And Saul answered, God do so and more also, for thou shalt surely die, Jonathan. And the people said unto Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who hath wrought this great salvation in Israel? God forbid. As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he hath wrought with God this day. So the people rescued Jonathan, that he died not. Then Saul went up from following the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. So Saul took the kingdom over Israel, and fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the kings of Zobah, and against the Philistines. And whithersoever he turned himself, he vexed them. And he gathered an host, and smote the Amalekites, and delivered Israel out of the hands of them that spoiled them. Now the sons of Saul were Jonathan, and Ishuai, and Melchishua. And the names of his two daughters were these, the name of the firstborn Merab, and the name of the younger Michal. And the name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. And the name of the captain of his host was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. And Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. And there was sore war against the Philistines all the days of Saul. And when Saul saw any strong man or any valiant man, he took him unto him. Chapter 15. Samuel also said unto Saul, The Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. And Saul gathered the people together, and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen, and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek, and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For ye showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep, and of the oxen, and of the fatlings, and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them. But everything that was vile and refuse, that they destroyed utterly. Then came the word of the Lord unto Samuel, saying, It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me, and hath not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night. And when Samuel rose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and is gone about, and passed on, and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Blessed be thou of the Lord, I have performed the commandment of the Lord. And Samuel said, What meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in mine ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? And Saul said, They have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, Stay, and I will tell thee what the Lord hath said to me this night. And he said unto him, Say on. And Samuel said, When thou wast little in thine own sight, wast thou not made the head of the tribes of Israel, and the Lord anointed thee king over Israel? And the Lord sent thee on a journey, and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed? Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of the Lord? And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took of the spoil sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God in Gilgal. And Samuel said, Hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king.
Do you see how you get punished? Because in your mind, this is how when you operate in the world, in their mind, they thought, well, we're going to sacrifice this to the Lord. They came up with a justification for their wickedness, for taking the spoils of war that they were told to destroy. In their minds, they decided that, well, we're just going to sacrifice. And this is where he tells them obedience is better than sacrifice. Where in your life today are you not being obedient and reasoning in your own mind rather than according to the law and going according to what God said? You're going by what you said and what you want to do. That's the question that I have. Those when we talk about examining ourselves, when we talk about 2 Corinthians 13 and 5, this is it right here. We have to examine ourselves and see, are we doing it our way or are we doing it God's way? Because Saul and the people decided that they were going to do it their way, and they paid a heavy price for that.
And Saul said unto Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of the Lord and thy words, because I feared the people and obeyed their voice. Now therefore I pray thee, pardon my sin, and turn again with me, that I may worship the Lord. And Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with thee, for thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord hath rejected thee from being king over Israel.
I want to stop right there because do you hear Saul's reasoning? He said that he feared the people. Saul was afraid of the people who he led. And I think that is the case for a lot of us in leadership. You're afraid to do the right thing. You're afraid to enforce your policies and procedures. You're afraid to discipline your children. You're afraid to say what needs to be said to someone today because you are more afraid of them than you are the Lord. You are more interested in receiving praise and accolades from man than to obey the Lord or to even do what you know is right. Think about how many times where you have an employee who you know needs to be corrected, but you want to be liked. So rather than getting the results that you need or doing the right thing and having equitable treatment across the board, you don't want to chastise your favorites, but you have no problem with correcting those that you do not like. Just something to think about.
And as Samuel turned about to go away, he laid hold upon the skirt of his mantle, and it rent. And Samuel said unto him, The Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and hath given it to a neighbor of thine that is better than thou. And also the strength of Israel will not lie nor repent, for he is not a man that he should repent. Then he said, I have sinned. Yet honor me now, I pray thee, before the elders of my people and before Israel, and turn again with me, that I may worship the Lord thy God. So Samuel turned again after Saul.
Still worried about being seen. Still worried about his image and what the people thought. He just told him that the Lord was taking Israel away from him and giving it to a better man than him. And he still is concerned about how he looks before the eyes of man rather than God. So you see what's in Saul's heart right here.
Elders of my people and before Israel, and turn again with me, that I may worship the Lord thy God. So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshipped the Lord. Then said Samuel, Bring ye hither to me Agag the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came unto him delicately, and Agag said, Surely the bitterness of death is past. And Samuel said, As thy sword hath made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. Then Samuel went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his house to Gibeah of Saul. And Samuel came no more to see Saul until the day of his death. Nevertheless, Samuel mourned for Saul, and the Lord repented that he had made Saul king over Israel. Chapter 16. And the Lord said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil, and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, Take an heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to the Lord. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do. And thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee. And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, Comest thou peaceably? And he said, Peaceably. I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, Surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Then Jesse called Abinadab, and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by. And he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen this. Again Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, The Lord hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from God troubleth thee. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee, to seek out a man who is a cunning player on an harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants, and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and the Lord is with him. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse, and said, Send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul, and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor-bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. Chapter 17. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shoco, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shoco and Azekah in Ephes-dammim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. And the Philistine said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening, and presented himself 40 days. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. And carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000. And look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Saul and they, and all the men of Israel, were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning, and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench, as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled before him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride, and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another, and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. David said moreover, The Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion, and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, Go, and the Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about, and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee. And I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose, and shouted, and pursued the Philistines, until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way to Shaaraim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine, and brought it to Jerusalem. But he put his armor in his tent. And when Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, As thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, Inquire thou whose son the stripling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him, and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, Whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse the Bethlehemite. Chapter 18.
So I'm going to stop there on chapter 18. We will pick this back up tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed our Sabbath marathon, mini marathon. I know I did, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Enjoy your Sabbath. And actually, I think after I finish this stream, I may put the music on again. I'll see. Thanks for watching. Shalom.